Well, here I am, your poster girl for advanced care planning. I'm Marg, and for most of my career I was a broadcaster for CBC Radio. I worked for years as part of the team on the Vicky Gaboro show, where I was the answer lady. Listeners would send letters. That's how long ago I started in radio, and ask all kinds of questions. Why is pee yellow? How much does your head weigh? Why are bald men more attractive? I didn't claim to know the answers, but I could always find an expert who could tell me what was what. It was a great gig that allowed my natural curiosity to run rampant, and I got to meet a world of big brains that shared their knowledge with me. In 1998 and 1999 I was searching for a different kind of answer. In the years since our son had been born I was noticing a bridge mixture of physical issues. After what seemed like an endless parade of doctors' offices, I had thoughts of brain tumors, MS, and God knows what else. I had a second visit with a neurologist. By that time my early symptoms had progressed enough for a diagnosis. The answer was young-onset Parkinson's disease. I started to do what I did best, research. And quickly I didn't like what I found. I had a disease for which the cause and cure had not yet been found. From the beginning I knew a few things about the rest of my life. Parkinson's would always change the way I could lead my life. I had no clue how that might look, as everybody's Parkinson's progresses at different rates. I was going to have to take charge of the disease, not the other way around. And I was going to have to get a team of big brains that understood how I wanted to fight this battle. The most sobering moment in those early days was driving myself out to Burnaby, to a Parkinson's support group. I walked through the doors and into a room full of people much further along the Parkinson's path than me. Being in that room with folk with pronounced Parkinson's was just too much to take. I had just opened a window to the future, and I couldn't look through it. And none of those folk were nearly as impaired as I am today. From the beginning I knew that I had some huge advantages in dealing with this disease. As luck would have it I was at ground zero for a lot of amazing work in the treatment of Parkinson's. John Strussel's team at the Parkinson's Research Institute at the University of British Columbia have been at the forefront of research. And John eventually became my neurologist. Neurosurgeon Chris Honey is one of the few people doing deep brain stimulation surgery in Canada. And after a long wait I was able to have him open up my head and mess with my brain. Sadly that surgery didn't work for me. And I have an amazing team that includes my family doctor, pharmacists, psychologists and a covey of other medical folk. I don't know what I would have done if I was a single mom living in Prince Rupert. With all of that in place my job seemed to be making the decisions about what my care would look like. I really didn't have much control over the disease, and slowly I was losing control over my environment. But I'll be damned if I lose control over how my life is lived. Noel and I have an amazing 14-year-old son, Mac, who has spent his whole life with the unseen member of our household. This disease. Early on I made a commitment that I would do whatever it took to always be an active part of his life. I didn't think of that as advanced care planning, but it certainly was. At each step of this journey I fought. Ask Noel, he will confirm this, tooth and nail, to maximize my place in our family. It's very, very difficult, and I am proud of what we have created as a family. In one sense, I had a great advantage over some that may use this workbook. I knew from the day I was diagnosed that I would be facing many changes and decisions. This wasn't an exercise in planning for some unknown event. That luxury of having a certain future is not one I would wish on anyone, but it has given me time to think through a lot of the planning bits. I see advanced care planning as a work in progress. The big step is just getting your head around your own mortality. That's a huge leap, and there is no right way to get to that place. My journey has taken a lot of unexpected turns, and each turn has had an impact on what my future plans were. Even today I have many choices about how my care looks and will proceed. But I have control over what my care looks like. And in the place that I am at right now, I desperately need to have control over the stuff that defines who I am. I hope this has put a personal face to what this new initiative is all about. I had just opened a window to the future, and I couldn't look through it. And none of those folk were nearly as impaired as I am today. From the beginning I knew that I had some huge advantages in dealing with this disease. As luck would have it, I was at ground zero for a lot of amazing work in the treatment of Parkinson's. John Strussel's team at the Parkinson's Research Institute at the University of British Columbia have been at the forefront of research. And John eventually became my neurologist. Neurosurgeon Chris Honey is one of the few people doing deep brain stimulation surgery in Canada, and after a long wait I was able to have him open up my head and mess with my brain. Sadly, that surgery didn't work for me.